Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing Week 5 in the NFL, and we are talking right now with Jeff Cadillac from jeffcadillac.com. He's going to give us his analysis on Chicago at KC. And this is an interesting game. The Bears finally got a win, right? They're a team that has a lot of problems, but Cutler played last week. It seems like John Fox is getting small improvements from them each week. And at some point, maybe they'll be a reasonable team. They could have value at any given week as a big underdog. And here they're getting 9 or 9.5 points at KC. KC, a quality team, but they're having problems protecting Alex Smith. He was sacked 5 times last week. They've now lost their last 3 games against the spread. So I guess all signs would be pointing towards Chicago maybe having a little bit of value as a big underdog here. I would also maybe think about a shot with the over. It was 45.5 earlier. Now it's down to 44.5 or 45. Jeff Cadillac, what do you like here?
I tell you, I got to agree with you on one thing, that Kansas City is definitely a big disappointment this year so far. They're on a 3-game losing streak. They started off the year very nicely against Houston, but that offense can't seem to get going. Last week against Cincinnati, they had 7 field goals. I mean, they could not get in the end zone. They still only have 1 passing touchdown to a wide receiver this year, and that was to Jeremy Maclin against Green Bay, but that was basically in garbage time. Green Bay had that big lead, as everybody knows, and Kansas City was coming back in a fever, but it was a little bit too late. And the problem with Kansas City is that offense just can't seem to get going, and that's a very big problem for Andy Reid. Either he puts it all on Alex Smith or everybody else, and it just doesn't seem to come out right. I mean, he was spreading the ball nicely against Cincinnati last week. The problem was they could not get in the end zone. Plus, the defense was also giving up a lot to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's, we all know they're 4-0 right now, and they're kicking butt and taking prisoners and taking numbers. But the problem is that Kansas City has problems in that red zone. They can drive between the goal line and the opposition's 20-yard line, but they can't seem to get into that end zone, and that's a big problem for Kansas City. Chicago's got their own problems on the other side. They got Antrell Roll is out for this game. They got Will Montgomery, the center, is out. They got Alshon Jeffrey, who's still out. But the funny thing is, they seemed to beat up on Oakland last week. They kicked a field goal with no points left on the clock, and they came back and beat Oakland. Hey, look, I think that win for them was they needed that win for themselves because to get back on track a little bit. I don't think Chicago's really going anywhere this year, but for them as a team, they need to build off some positives because right now that team is 1-3 and it doesn't look like they're going to have a winning season. But believe it or not, Chicago's defense is playing pretty well. They're 7th in total defense. They're 4th against the pass. I like a lot of things that I see here. Everybody knows if you put enough pressure on Alex Smith, he will make mistakes. He will throw the ball away. But the thing is that under pressure, everybody makes mistakes and everything. And this line here is so big. I mean, both these teams are 1-3, and they're both not going anywhere. Chicago plus 9.5. I mean, I gotta take Chicago plus the points here. I mean, I think Kansas City needs a win very badly, but I don't see them winning by more than 3 or 4 points. Kansas City's defense also has been a big disappointment. Everybody touted them in the preseason as, their defensive line and, all these all-stars and everything, but they are not turning these into wins. They make mistakes. They get penalized. Chicago plus 9.5. Hey, you got to take it.
Okay, Jeff Cadillac, Chicago plus 9.5 is his recommended play. Jeff, tell us about your website, jeffcadillac.com, what you do there every week.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. On jeffcadillac.com, you can I analyze all the games every week for free. You take a look, you see what you like. Hey, everybody has comments. People send me comments here and there. I love hearing from you guys. And also Twitter, on Twitter at JeffCadillac1. I have my best bet of the week on Fridays. Last week, I loved Atlanta at home against Houston.
Nice, Jeff. All right. Thanks so much for your thoughts. Talk to you next week.